My name is Chloe Ramirez. I'm 25 years old. And millions of people have seen me cry. They called it the most awkward moment in pageant history. But for me, it was the moment my world cracked open, and I finally saw who my real friends were. The lights were blinding that night. I remember the smell of hairspray, the shimmer of sequins, the crowd's hum like an electric storm. And then, my name. Contestant number 9. Chloe Ramirez. The camera swung toward me. The stage manager gave a small nod, and I walked out, head high, heart pounding, believing this was my chance to prove that beauty had room for everyone. But the moment my heels hit the stage, I heard it. Laughter. At first it was small, like a ripple on a calm lake. Then it spread. A low chuckle. A cough disguised as a snort. And before I'd even reached center stage, the sound grew into something bigger, meaner. An orchestra of cruelty. I looked out and saw faces tilted toward me, mouths twisted in amusement. Judges shifting uncomfortably, trying not to look directly at me. One even whispered something to the host, who tried and failed to hide a smirk. And that's when I realized. This wasn't an accident. If you're already feeling this story, please take a moment to subscribe to Principled Stories and tap like. YouTube's algorithm might not show us to each other again, and we share stories like this every week that deserve to be heard. I held my smile anyway. My mother was watching. My best friend Alana was in the audience. I could see her front row. Perfect hair, perfect posture, perfect life. She was smiling, but not the kind of smile that said, "I'm proud of you." It was the kind that said, "I can't believe she's really doing this." And then, I caught sight of my mom, sitting beside Alana, in a gold dress that shimmered more than mine ever could. She was laughing. Not hard. Just enough. Just enough for the cameras to catch it. Something in me froze. My throat felt tight. I wanted to run. But the lights pinned me like a butterfly. The host's voice echoed through the hall. A true inspiration for body positivity, everyone. The words dripped with mockery. People clapped. Some genuinely, most ironically. Someone even shouted, "Brave!" and laughter followed. When I reached the end of the runway, I did the only thing I could. I curtsied, smiled, and turned, praying no one would see my hands shaking. The rest of the night is a blur of noise and lights and fake applause. I remember hearing my name called again, not as a winner, but as a punchline. Later, in the dressing room, I locked myself in a bathroom stall and cried, so quietly I could hear the fluorescent buzz of the light above me. My phone kept buzzing on the counter. Notifications. Mentions. A brave Chloe. A pageant fail. A inspiration or joke. By morning, the clip had 10 million views. And I hadn't even slept yet. 3 days earlier, I'd been sewing rhinestones into my gown at my tiny apartment, humming along to the radio. I wasn't supposed to be in that competition. I hadn't applied. It was Alana's idea. Or so she told me. "It's inclusive now, Chloe," she said, scrolling through her phone. "They're doing a segment on authenticity, like real women. This is your chance to show them what beauty really looks like." I laughed at first. "Me? On stage with models? Why not?" she said, leaning forward. "You're beautiful. You just don't see it yet." Alana had been my best friend since high school. The kind of girl who always knew what to say, what to wear, how to make you feel small and grateful at the same time. I didn't know it back then, but that night she was lying through perfect teeth. The entry forms, the confirmation emails, all of it had her fingerprints on them. And my mother's approval. When I called my mom to tell her I'd been selected, she gasped. "Oh honey, that's amazing," she said, her voice high-pitched with excitement. "You've always loved performing." I told her I wasn't sure. She insisted. She even offered to pay for my gown. "It'll be televised," she said. "Who knows who'll see you?" I should have heard the hunger in her voice then. The way she said "you" but meant herself. But I was too busy stitching hope into a dress that would later feel like a costume in someone else's joke. The day of the show, The hotel ballroom buzzed with perfume and ambition. Tall girls in sequined robes moved like swans. Photographers clicked. Assistants whispered. And me? I stood near a mirror, trying to decide if I looked brave or foolish. A makeup artist approached. Contestant 9, right? Yeah. She hesitated, brush hovering over her hand. You're really doing this? I forced a laugh. Yeah. Why? She just smiled, tight-lipped. No reason. Behind her, I caught a producer watching me, his headset crooked, his smirk unmistakable. Something about that look made me shiver. But I told myself I was imagining it. You ever ignore your instincts because you want so badly for something to be real? That was me. Backstage before the show, I caught Alana whispering with one of the producers near the monitors. I waved at her. She smiled, then turned away quickly, muttering something that made the man laugh. I should have known. I should have asked. But I didn't. Because when you've spent your whole life being the nice one, the one who doesn't rock the boat, you don't assume the people you love are sharpening knives behind your back. So, I stepped onto that stage with every ounce of courage I had left. And they used it against me. After the show, I stayed offline for 2 days. But eventually, curiosity, or masochism, won. I opened Twitter. My name was trending. The hashtags were cruel, but the comments were worse. Why would she do that to herself? Publicity stunt gone wrong. My eyes still hurt from that dress. One clip had nearly 5 million likes, me walking out smiling, while the host smirked and the audience laughed. Someone had captioned it, confidence level, delusional. That night, I turned off every device and sat in the dark. I thought about deleting everything. My accounts, my videos, even my life. I got a message. A DM from someone named Ethan Pierce. His profile said, Production Intern. I'm sorry, he wrote. You didn't deserve that. I need to tell you something. What would you have done? Opened it or ignored it? Because I opened it. And that one choice changed everything. I opened Ethan's message with shaking hands. My heart raced like I was about to see a car crash in slow motion. Chloe, I work at the studio. You weren't supposed to know this, but what happened to you, it was planned. The laughter, the reaction shots, all of it. I have proof. Proof. The word hit me like a defibrillator to the chest. They called it the body positivity moment in the schedule, he continued. Producers were told to cue the crowd, and the host had a script. They wanted controversy. Viral attention. You were never a contestant. They called you the wild card. I think someone close to you signed you up. I felt my stomach twist into knots. Someone close? He replied almost instantly, your friend. Alana Rivers. My phone nearly slipped out of my hand. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Alana, my best friend since I was 15. The one who pushed me to join. The one who told me, this could change your life. I didn't reply. I couldn't. For 2 whole days, I stayed inside. Curtains closed. Lights off. My phone face down on the floor. The internet didn't forget. The memes got worse. There was even one where someone had edited a clown nose onto my face. I couldn't cry anymore. I felt hollow, like something had scooped the center out of me. Then, on the 3rd day, I saw it. A video uploaded by Alana herself. The title read, My Best Friend's Pageant Nightmare, My Honest Thoughts. Her thumbnail was perfect. Pouty face, sympathy eyes, the kind influencers master. I pressed play. She was sitting in her car, fake tears glistening under her lashes. Hey guys, she began. So I know everyone's talking about my best friend Chloe. First, I just want to say, I'm heartbroken for her. But I did warn her the show might not be ready for someone like her. Someone like her. She kept talking, her voice sweet as poison. I tried to tell her not to go through with it, but Chloe's always been impulsive, you know? I hope this teaches her to be more careful about opportunities. Every sentence was a knife. The video had 1 million views by morning. And my mother, My mother commented beneath it. Proud of you, Alana. You're so brave for speaking up. I swear, I couldn't breathe. That night, Ethan messaged me again. Meet me at the cafe on 8th Street. I'll bring the files. You deserve to see everything. When I walked in, I spotted him immediately. Mid-20s, nervous energy, eyes darting like he expected someone to recognize him. He slid a flash drive across the table. Everything's on there: emails, internal memos, production notes. They set you up, Chloe. They called it a social experiment in viewer engagement. Why are you helping me? I asked. He looked down. Because I saw your face when they laughed, and I realized we'd built a machine that feeds on people like you. I opened my laptop. Right there, inside the folder, was a PDF titled Segment 3, Audience Warm-Up. Under instructions it said, Host will introduce contestant 9 with ironic enthusiasm. Camera crew to capture reactions. Encourage audience laughter for emotional impact. Keywords: authenticity, inclusivity, irony. And attached at the bottom was an email thread. From Miranda Ramirez. My mother, she'd written, We're fine with the setup, as long as the camera captures her initial reaction. She tends to cry when nervous. We'll look good on screen. I read that line over and over until my vision blurred. My mother didn't just know, she approved it. I walked out of that cafe, numb. The city was alive around me, horns honking, people laughing, but everything felt far away, like I was watching through glass. I thought about calling her, demanding an explanation, but then I pictured her face, smiling, pretending confusion, twisting the truth like she always did, and I couldn't bear it. Instead, I went home and opened a blank document. At the top, I typed, The joke was me. It would start as a blog post, maybe a video, maybe something to tell the truth before they could bury it. But as I stared at the blinking cursor, a question hit me like lightning. If the whole world already saw me humiliated on live TV, what would happen if they saw what really happened behind the scenes? Would they still laugh? Or would they finally see? I started writing. Every detail, every quote, every file Ethan had given me. The fake empathy of the host. The producer's emails. My mother's signature. The betrayal that had been sold as content. I stayed up all night editing. My tears came and went, replaced by something stronger, clarity. By sunrise, I had something raw and unfiltered. A confession mixed with evidence, and one sentence that became the title. They laughed at me on live TV. But here's what you didn't see. I uploaded it to my small YouTube channel, the same one I'd abandoned months ago after being bullied for a makeup tutorial. I didn't expect much. But by noon, the video had 200,000 views. By night, over 2 million. People weren't laughing anymore, they were furious. Comments flooded in. This is disgusting. She deserves justice. I can't believe they did this to her. Sponsors pulled out of the show. The host deleted his social media. Alana turned off her comments. And my mother, she called me 14 times that night. I didn't answer. By the end of the week, the network issued a statement. We regret the misunderstanding. That's what they called it. A misunderstanding. But Ethan leaked more files. The kind they couldn't deny. And within 48 hours, the show was cancelled. A journalist from the Daily Ledger called me. Chloe, people want to hear your story in your own words, she said. I told her I already had. A month later, I was invited to speak at a women's media conference about ethics and representation. I almost said no, but then I remembered the girl who walked onto that stage in a silver gown, shaking, trying to believe she belonged. And I said yes. When I stepped up to the podium, the lights felt familiar again. But this time, no one was laughing. This isn't a story about revenge, I said, voice steady. It's about what happens when you stop apologizing for existing in your own body. The applause that followed wasn't pity, it was respect. And for the first time in my life, I felt seen, not as a spectacle, but as a person. Tell me, if your own mother and best friend betrayed you on live TV, Would you expose them too, or would you let silence be your revenge? Because sometimes, the truth is louder than humiliation. I smiled when I stepped off that stage, though my legs were trembling so hard I thought I might collapse. Women I'd never met hugged me. A man from a local paper asked for a quote. A college student said, "You made me call my mom." For the first time, I didn't shrink from any of it. Later that night, back in my apartment, I opened my laptop. The video I'd posted, the one that started everything, was at 42 million views. Brands that had once mocked me now wanted to collaborate. Morning shows asked me to appear. I kept saying no. I wasn't done living the story yet. There was one unread message in my inbox. From Miranda Ramirez. Subject, please. I hovered over it for a long time before clicking. Chloe, I don't know how to begin. I was desperate. Trenton owed me money. Alana promised exposure. I thought it would help you. I didn't know they'd be so cruel. Please believe I never wanted you to get hurt. Can we talk? She attached an old photo. Me at 6, missing a tooth, wearing her tiara from when she'd won Miss Catalina 1988. In the caption she wrote, "You always wanted to be like me." I stared at it for a long time, then wrote back, "No, Mom. I never wanted to be like you. I wanted you to be like a mother." I didn't hit send. I just read it once, then deleted the draft. Some answers don't deserve delivery. A week later, Ethan came by my studio apartment. He'd quit the network. They offered me hush money, he said, dropping a folded contract onto the coffee table. I tore it up. He looked lighter than I'd ever seen him. "You did what none of us had the guts to do." I smiled faintly. "You gave me the proof. I just held it up to the light." He nodded. "They want to make a docuseries about it now. They reached out to me too." I froze. "A docuseries?" "Yeah. About media exploitation. They want you involved as a consultant." I didn't answer right away. A part of me wanted to disappear, to never see another camera again. But another part, the one that had survived humiliation on live television, knew what visibility could do when it wasn't used as a weapon. "Tell them yes," I said, "but on one condition." He raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "I want creative control, no edits without my approval." He grinned. "Deal." We started filming 3 months later. The series was called Behind the Applause. It wasn't glamorous. It was raw, messy, human. It showed interns crying after long nights, producers admitting they'd ignored ethics for views, and women like me reclaiming their dignity. When the first trailer dropped, it trended worldwide. My mother's name flashed in the leaked transcripts again. She'd signed a non-disclosure agreement and violated it for quick money. She went silent after that. Alana tried to sue me for defamation. She lost. In the court hallway, she whispered, "You ruined me." I looked at her and said, "No, Alana. You filmed yourself." She didn't reply. Months passed. The world moved on, the way it always does. But sometimes, I'd still catch my reflection in store windows or TV screens playing reruns of that awful night. The silver dress, the laughter, the single tear. It no longer made me flinch. It reminded me how far I'd walked. I started teaching sewing workshops at a local community center, women rebuilding confidence through design. One of them, a shy teenager named Jade, once said, "You made me want to stop hiding my body." That night I went home and cried. Not from sadness, but relief. Because the humiliation that was supposed to destroy me had somehow built a bridge for others. 6 months later, the docuseries premiered. The first episode opened with me standing on the same stage, lights blazing, looking straight into the camera. "They thought they were filming a joke," I said in voiceover. But I was learning how to tell my own story. The final shot showed me designing dresses with other women of all sizes, laughter genuine this time. The credits rolled over applause that wasn't scripted. The audience cried. So did I. One evening, after a screening, Ethan found me outside by the theater doors. The city smelled like rain and popcorn. He handed me a small envelope. "Fan mail," he said. Inside was a letter written in looping cursive. "Dear Chloe, I watched your story. I laughed that night when everyone else did, and I hated myself after. Thank you for showing what courage looks like. I'll never forget the sound of your silence before you smiled. Someone who's learning to be kinder. I folded the paper and smiled. That's worth more than any trophy, I said. Ethan nodded. So what's next for you? I looked at the skyline glittering above us. Something without a stage. Maybe something real. He laughed. That's vague. Good, I said. It means it's honest. Months later, when the award nominations came in, Behind the Applause was on the list for Outstanding Documentary Series. People messaged me saying they hoped I'd win, but I'd already won the moment I stopped needing anyone else's permission to take up space. On the night of the ceremony, I wore a dress I'd made myself, silver again, but softer, fluid. When the announcer called my name as part of the production team, I walked, on stage, under the same kind of lights that once burned me alive. This time, they felt warm. I looked out at the crowd, no laughter, just eyes. Listening. I took a breath and said, for anyone who's ever been laughed at, your worth doesn't shrink just because someone else's heart does. The room stood. Cameras flashed. And for once, I didn't care who was watching. Because in the end, this wasn't a story about revenge. It was about truth. And truth, when it finally walks out under the lights, never looks the same as shame. What would you have done if the world laughed at you on live television? Would you disappear? Or would you turn that spotlight into your own?